keep exploring. Hey everybody, we're out here between Luthersville and Hogansville, which we're going to next. And the cemetery's on the side of the road, and I've always been interested in this little cemetery spot. And I love this tree. Let me show you the tree real quick. And then we'll go check out some of these graves and look into some of the names. Already saw a name that is recognizable, but I wanted to show you this really cool tree. Some of you may have purchased the first Stirring Spirits book, which this tree was on the cover. Now, it was a cool cover. I may bring that cover back for a few books and people can decide which cover they like the best, but it's a really interesting, very old tree. Several hundred years old, I'm sure. It's got that cool little elbow. Here, it's late summer. There's Mark over there checking things out. Now, this little cemetery is just off the road. And it's basically just this one little plot. There's no church. So indeed it will be a cemetery. Let's take a little walk around and see what we can find. So right off the bat, I found Strickland. Now, just for my memory when I go back, and to make an attempt to find more interesting things, because the Stricklands, if you guys have seen the Murder in Coweta County story, you know that the Stricklands were directly related to John Wallace, the convicted killer in the Murder in Coweta County stories. Now, I don't know how closely these two were related, but we're gonna note their names and look into this. This was R.T. Strickland, born May 30th, 1832. This one's pretty easy to read, thankfully. Died February 26, 1906, age 73 years old, 8 months and 27 days. Wow, that's really a detailed bit of information. You don't see that always. We are on a busy road, so I apologize for any road noise. And then Mrs. R.T. Strickland, she didn't even get her own name. Born July 26, 1834. She was 2 years younger than him. Died November 29th, 1885. Ooh, he outlived her by a good bit. Age 51 years, 4 months, and 3 days. Ever seen anything like that, Mark? It has their age from their year to the month to the days. And these are some Stricklands. So we're going to look into that because we know the Stricklands of Meriwether counties and these neighboring counties. Pretty important. Here's a stone propped up. Can't really read the other names there. Turner, we'll come back to that one. Whew, sun just came out real bright. Let me get my shades back on real quick. Got real hot. Oh boy, here's one. We're almost to the death date of this poor little one. An infant son of the Hearst family. Born July 7th, 1886. Died August 31st, 1886. Just over a month old. Someone's put a little Santa statue out here. Unfortunately, the wind, I don't think anybody did anything to that. I think just the wind toppled it down. And then here's Mrs. Claus. Boy, that's interesting. Infant of born and died September 17th, 1892. Poor little babies. That's the sad part about coming to these cemeteries we talk about all that time. We honor their memory, and so thankful that modern science has come so far. Oh, here's somebody born on Halloween, October 31st, 1819. This makes me want to do a little research on what do people really think about Halloween, All Hallows Eve? Was it celebrated in 1819? Was it even known then? So that's going to spark a little research for me. October 31st, 1819. He was a Freemason. Mark noticed the Freemason sign, of course, yes. And then here is Martha Jane, the wife. Way over here, away from the rest of the stones. Let's go see what this stone says. It's about in the field over here. Now, I don't know if there's other folks buried out here and there's just no stone markers. I don't know. I'm going to try to do a little research on this actual plot. William J. Norris. (1833 to 1895). The bottom inscription says, "At rest." And here's an overlook of the whole cemetery. Let's take a little closer look. This is the outskirts now. Let's get a little closer in, because you'll see that there's some of these stone graves like the ones we saw at the Upson County Fellowship Baptist Cemetery. This was one that simply toppled over. I don't know if it used to be sitting up on here, but it is definitely on the ground. Laura A. Turner, wife of T.M. Lassiter. (1853 to 1883). A young woman. Here's another one that's toppled over, broken into 3 pieces. Here's a whole plot. What names do we have here? More Turners. A lot of Turners. We'll have to look that name up. Yep. Burdette. Ooh, a Sally. Sally Maddox Johnson, 1875 to March 8th, 1926, at rest. She had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children: Mac, Liza, Jesse, Joe, and George. Someone's come out and put some bricks. Used to have some mortar around it. That's actually kind of a cool thing. I like the way that looks. Pretty secure. My assumption is this is a child here, because it is quite small. There's no reading. There's an 18 there, maybe 25. There's no reading any of that. Then we've got one that's completely crumbled, just toppled over. Again, we can't read any of this.
I think that was vandalized.
And then we've got one over here, a simple spot. Again, it looks like a child. I'm afraid there's quite a few children in this particular cemetery. And here we go. Here's one just like we saw in Upson County. These stone graves. We really want to say these are probably some of the older ones. This one's kind of cool. Get a little look in there. Nothing to be read on the top of that one at all. This one's got some wildflowers growing up on top of it. Walk around this way and circle back. This one way over here doesn't look like much more than just a pile of stones. Just a pile of stones. And then we've got this in the ground. It's a bit askew, so I don't know if it was always this direction or if it just fell from somewhere. Some more that are completely hard to read. One off to the side there. Interesting. Many of these are cracked. That one is huge. We'll get over there in just a sec. These are tucked in together, perhaps mother and father and a child. A different last name. J.A.T. Clopton, C-L-O-P-T-O-N. Second Lieutenant, the Georgia Regiment of the Confederate United States. Born October 28th, 1838, died November 16th, 1872. So this gentleman who's buried here, we would know that the lieutenant colonel he did survive that war. Because of course 1872, that's well after the war. Now we have some words here that are just on looking, it almost looks like Joan, but the rest is really hard to see. Three more right here of these. Ooh, and underneath the palmettos is a pile of stones. Three more of these here. You guys have been getting some good responses by coming out to these older graveyards, cemeteries. I hope you're enjoying it. Again, we completely respect the deceased, and we're here to honor their memory. Anyone who is buried here, we hope that you are resting peacefully with the Lord. That is what we wish for you. We are just here to show people that, look, you've got to remember these folks that came before us. Learn from their life stories. This one, Benton. Now, these have sort of washed in together and are both tilting to the right. Another Confederate soldier. Whoop, got into a cobweb. Ooh. I love this gate to this little fenced-in area. Oh, our son's birthday, September 19th, 1846 to March 23rd, 1916. There's the MCH. We've seen that on older ones. We didn't know what the abbreviation was, and we did figure out that was March, MCH. We don't really use that anymore. And then looks like okay, that was Cynthia Benton, the wife. She lived till 1916, and the husband, October 28th, 1844 to July 19th, 1906. And then, now that's interesting because if you'll notice, it does say John W. Benton, but on this stone that the government would have had placed here, it lists his death year is 1901, and on this stone it says 1906. So something happened there, a little misprint on one of the stones. He served for the Confederate States Army. John W. Benton, Private Colonel, B-1 Georgia CAV Cavalry. So he rode on horseback. When you see the cavalry, that's what that was. From this angle, you can see that there is a row of stones that are leaning. Like I said, we'll get back, and when we edit this, we'll try to give you some background on some of these last names. Here's another last name. Higginbotham, Mary A. Higginbotham, born in 1827, died in 1880 something. The last number is very hard to read. Now 1827, there's a chance she was born here, or as our research has shown, many of these folks were born in North Carolina, born in 1820. Terrell M. Lassiter, died in 1852. Now, some of our research shows, of course, that these folks were born, came to the United States and settled in a lot in North Carolina, and then they came what they considered a westward expansion all the way here to what is now basically West Georgia, a westward expansion. And in those days, they didn't think there was anything beyond the Mississippi River worth even looking into. So this was a westward trek. They found the land here to be very good for farming, cotton, and they also found some gold in Georgia. So these settlers were coming west. Another Higginbotham there. And this is a Higginbotham. That stone is, it's almost like it's just sinking right in. Take a look through here real quick. We're under this incredible tree. Oh, gosh, I love this tree. What a cool old tree. Look at how big it is. This thing has got to be, golly, a couple hundred years old for sure, if not more. Let's take a look at these that are tilting here. Whoop, we've got a lizard. Hey, lizard. Come back, lizard. Oh, well. He says, hey, I live here. Go away. Turner. There are a lot of Turners, and of course, Turner's a fairly common name. But let me get up closer on that one just to see if we can find out anything about Mary Turner, 1802 to 1855. We know, and here's this large one. Like a family plot, and the moss is growing. Louisa F. Phillips. Another one leaning. Another Turner. Now we know about Wilson Turner in a neighboring county. We've told his story, but Turner's a pretty common name, so I wouldn't think that it had anything to do with the Wilson Turner that we've talked about, but you never know. Lucretta. It's an older style name. Wife of Nathan Nall. Born in 1801. So she likely was not born in the United States. She was more likely born in Europe, maybe. Or along the coastline where the earliest settlers were coming in the late 1700s, early 1800s. Thomas Burdett and Almeida, another old-fashioned type of a name. He's got an additional military stone. A little cross there. Private for the Confederate States. Another survivor. Those were a bit rare. Like Mark said, this one's been come out. Somebody's come out and just completely covered this entire plot with a big cement block to preserve their loved ones. 1878 to 1891, a short life of Lonnie, daughter of the Fuller family. Mary Ann Mall, or Nall, is that Nall? N-A-L-L, sorry. Their footstones, a headstone and a footstone completely unmarked. Here is a Hood, Allen Hood. And he served again in the Confederate States Army. Survived the war by a solid 20 years. Anyone who came home from that war was lucky. Abba. The finger is pointing to God, the heavens. Wife of J.C. Fuller, born in 1854 and died in 1891. So of course she was probably born right here, somewhere in what is now Meriwether County. George G. Turner and Martha A. Rowe. Amber Pearl Turner. Little 3-year-old, bless you, little one. Hope that your soul and your spirit rest in peace. Another infant of the Turners. Lived less than, let's see, about 6, 10, 11, less than a month, August 6th to August 23rd. And let's come check out these obelisks. Another look at the cool tree. We are somewhere in Meriwether County between Luthersville and Hogansville, if you're curious, with an incredible tree overlooking, shadowing the souls that rest here. We've got some names to look up. We'll do some research when we get into our editing mode. This was a great little stop. I love the tree up behind me. It's a really cool spot. Hope you enjoyed it too. All right, so we saw this off the side of the road, guys. William Hogan Plantation. He was born in 1804 and established a plantation here in the 1830s. Likely got this money, this land, probably from the land lottery. He gave the right-of-way to the railroad in 1849 and stipulated that a depot he built where the railroad crossed the old Augusta Highway Following his death in 1861, his son-in-law, John Pullen, sold the land for business and residential use. The Victorian house southwest of the cemetery occupies almost the same spot as the original Hogan house, which burned in 1899. And this must be that we can't get up there. Well, Mark got up there. Here you go. Take the GoPro with you and just film their little grave plot real quick.
Some right here.
Ooh, there's stones there.
Yeah, and there's a headstone right here.
All right, well here, I only have 6% charge. Just do what you can. Talk about something and see if you see something.
Very old cemetery. Just a handful of graves out here. I don't know if you can see it through there, but there's one of the headstones that's been broken off. Another cool little place.
Till next time. Yummy, yummy.